Where have you found inspiration interviewing others on your podcast?
I have like 2 podcasts. I guess both of them I'm talking to comedians though. And it's interesting to me because a lot of times it'll be people who I think are much more interesting off stage than they are on stage. And when I have a conversation with them off stage, a lot of times I'm like, why aren't you talking about this when you're on stage? Because this is really interesting. And sometimes people are like, well, this is that other stuff. That's how I know how to make funny, or that's And I'm just like, yeah, but this is more captivating. I want whatever the interesting thing about me off stage is. I want that to be the interesting thing about me on stage. Like the more you can talk to someone as if they're a friend or someone close to you, in those conversations, the conversation. I think David Mamet said to his writers once, like, the only stories I want are the ones that are told a half hour before closing time. Which is, I think, a good attitude to have as a comedian too, is like, talk about the things that you talk about when you're drunk and hanging out with a friend, or the things that, maybe you think that you're not supposed to talk about. That's something that Howard Stern, like, whatever you least want to talk about is the thing you most need to talk about, so there's, and it all goes back to being interesting, like what's interesting and what's not, and if you know it, how can you not, how can you get on stage in front of a room full of people and give them not the most interesting part of you, and and I've done that before, and I know a lot of people who do it, and so I know, it's like, it's not like I've solved the riddle, it's like, because it's hard, I guess, is the answer, It's like, it goes back to, if it was easy, everyone would do it. Like, something that I like is people will listen to the podcast and be like, what's interesting is, like, sometimes the people who I don't know at all or who I don't think are funny are the most interesting interviews. And that to me is like cool, because it's like, yeah, those people have something about them that's really interesting and can be funny if dealt with right. And then it's like a challenge though to get it there. And those interviews sometimes can do that. And then it's a question of trying to replicate that. And like for me in my own stand-up, and like, all right, what would it be like if someone was interviewing me and trying to be really interesting? And I've thought about that when, like, yeah, what if I'm the subject of these interviews? What's most fascinating about me, and what would people most want to know? And then it's like, well, why wouldn't I talk about that on stage? Like, that's what people most want to know.